If you're new here, let me catch you up in 30 seconds, because you will want the whole picture for this one. My husband forged my signature to sell the company I built from a storage unit. He set up a shell company to buy it, quietly, for almost nothing, with a woman I trusted. What he did not know was that he had never actually changed who owned the business. On every document that mattered, that was still me. So I said nothing. I let him carry that forged contract all the way to a closing table, in front of a notary, and I let it collapse. I walked out with my company. He walked out with a paper trail and a girlfriend. At the very end, I told you the buyer's lawyers had started asking one question. Where did the $200,000 that funded that shell company actually come from? I thought I knew the answer. I was wrong. And the real answer is the reason my husband is not just divorced today. It is the reason he is a defendant. Pour yourself a coffee. This is the part I did not see coming either. Here is what I had gotten wrong, and it is the whole story. I assumed the shell company, Meridian Holdings, was just Marcus and Dana wearing a paper mask. Their scheme, their money, their names hidden behind a registered agent. But shells are not free. A shell still has to pay for the thing it is buying. And the price of my company, low as Marcus had rigged it, was still real money that had to appear in a real account on closing day. Marcus did not have it. He made a good salary managing a business he did not own, but he did not have $200,000 in a drawer. Dana drove a leased car and complained about her rent. Between them, they could not have bought a used truck in cash, let alone a company. So I kept pulling the thread from my notebook. If neither of them had the money, someone else did. And that someone had just put $200,000 into a deal that evaporated in front of a notary. The buyer's lawyers who suddenly wanted answers did not work for Marcus. They worked for the money behind Meridian. And that money had just figured out it had been robbed. Here is what Marcus had actually done. I pieced it together from the filings my attorney pulled, and from the questions those lawyers started asking. Months before any of this, before the forged sale contract, before the closing, Marcus had gone looking for an investor, a private lender. Not a bank, because a bank asks too many questions. A private one, the kind who funds small deals fast and expects a clean return. And Marcus pitched him something incredible. A profitable, growing company. A motivated seller going through a rough patch. A once-in-a-decade chance to buy in below market and flip it inside a year. To prove it, Marcus handed over documents. Company financials showing revenue and margins, bank summaries, and an ownership page showing that Marcus had the authority to sell. Every one of those documents was fake. The financials were inflated past anything my company had ever earned. The bank summaries were built to match the lie, and the ownership page had my company's name across the top, and Marcus's signature sitting exactly where mine should have been. Understand what that means. He did not forge my signature one time. He forged an entire company's worth of paper, months in advance, to raise the money to buy the thing he was already planning to steal. The lender believed him. He wired $200,000 into the account behind Meridian, thinking he was funding the purchase of a real company from its real owner. He was funding nothing. That is not a bad investment. That is wire fraud and forgery and a felony with a number attached to it. Now go back to that closing table with me, because this is where it turns. When I let the sale proceed and my attorney walked in instead of me, I thought I was saving my company on the strength of the ownership documents Marcus never managed to change. What I was actually doing was turning his private, hidden fraud into a public, documented one. Because the moment that deal collapsed, the lender's $200,000 was simply gone. There was no company changing hands, no asset to secure the loan. The collateral he thought he had bought had never belonged to the man who sold it to him. And when his lawyers pulled the file, they did not find a business deal gone sideways. They found forged financials, a forged ownership page, and a real owner, me, who was not confused, was not hiding, and was fully prepared to state under oath that she had never signed any of it. The lender did not come after me. He could not. I had never taken his money, never signed his paperwork, never even known he existed. Every thread led back to two people who had personally signed guarantees on that loan: Marcus and Dana. And then there was one more detail that told me exactly how this would end. When the lender's lawyers ran a background check on the two people they had trusted, Dana's name pulled up history. This was not the first time she had helped move money that was not hers. Marcus thought he had found a partner in crime. He had found someone much better at it than he was, and who had done it before, to someone else. Everyone around me expected the same thing. Sue him, sue her, make it a war. I did the opposite again. I cooperated. Fully, calmly, completely. I handed the lender's attorneys everything I had. The real financials, so they could see how far the fakes had been stretched. The real ownership filings, proving the company had always been mine. And the transaction log from before, showing the money Marcus had quietly skimmed out of my company over 11 months to keep his scheme afloat. I did not have to spin a single fact. The truth did all the damage on its own, because I was the only person in this story who had done nothing wrong. And that cooperation did three things in order. First, it cleared me, permanently on the record in writing. Second, it let me recover the money Marcus had drained from my company, because now, in front of the right people, that money was no longer spent. It was stolen, and stolen money has a path home. Third, it handed a forgery case to people whose job is to prosecute forgery, with a live victim, me, willing to testify that the signature was not hers. I pressed charges for the forgery of my name, not out of revenge. I pressed them because it was true, because the paper existed, and because I was finally done protecting a man who had spent a year counting on me to protect him. So here is how it ended. All of it. The company is mine, free and clear, on every document that matters, with no one else's name near it. The money that was taken came back to it. This year the business is larger than it has ever been, and I built the last of that growth while my lawyers cleaned up his wreckage. Marcus and Dana are personally on the hook for $200,000 they cannot repay, owed to a lender who has run out of patience. They are named together in a fraud case built almost entirely out of documents they created themselves. The affair that started all of this, the secret that felt so powerful to them, is now just a line in a court filing. I filed for divorce with clean hands and a paper trail that protected every dollar I had ever earned. There was nothing for him to fight over, because there was nothing of mine he had ever legally touched. And the last thing I did was almost nothing at all. Marcus moved out. He moved in with Dana into a small rental on the other side of town. So when the certified letters began to arrive, the lawsuit, the fraud notice, the restitution demand, the divorce papers, I made absolutely sure every one of them was forwarded to the correct address. People used to ask how I stayed so calm through all of it. It was never complicated. I always knew karma would find him. I just needed his new address. And Dana, in the end, was kind enough to give it to me. That is the end of this one. But it is never really the end of the pattern. It just moves to a new house. Next week, a different family, a different betrayal, and a will that was signed by a woman who could not hold a pen. If that sentence bothers you, good, it should. I'll see you there.